Hi. Anyways, without further ado, Milky Way Gelato is a colorful set inspired by gelato, the classic frozen Italian dessert. Based on the colors chosen, it appears that the gelato that inspired this design are mainly fruit flavored, which gives the set a cute look. I wish that the alt alphas and the base kit alphas were swapped though, because the alt alphas matches the theme way better. The base kit alphas do have better contrast and readability, but I don't really stare at the keys when I type anyways, so I prefer a nicer aesthetic than readability in this scenario. MW Gelato also has a numpad kit, spacebar kit, 40s modifier kit, as well as a Nord kit. These kits should provide nice layout support for various layouts, which is always great to see. The numpad kit uses the same Legends color as the base kit alphas, but luckily, the alt alphas kit does include number keys, so you won't have to worry about them not matching up if you do decide to buy the alt alphas kit to replace the base kit Legends. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about the Nord kit, which only appears in the regular Legends color. It's quite a shame, but I guess it would have been extremely costly to include the extra keys in the Nord or alt alphas kit, or it would have made MOQ even more difficult for the Nord kit, which tends to struggle already. The 40s modifier is nice, and it's great that you can pair it up with the nicer alphas by just getting the alt alphas kit. I do wish that the 40s modifier kit also included some blue, because I think it looks really nice, but if you do plan on picking up the novelties, I guess you're covered in that front. The group buy for this set also has a metal artisan from Protozoa Studios, which features scoops of gelato on a cone. It has a rainbow PVD finish, which does look pretty cool in person, but I feel like it doesn't really match the theme. It's a cool finish for sure, but they probably should have just went with a simpler color, like blue or white, to match the set better. Overall, it's a really cute set, and if you're looking for a lighter set with some nice pastel colors, you should definitely consider MW Gelato. Mode Designs is back with a new keyboard, the Sonnet. This keyboard doesn't follow the regular naming scheme, which they explain in a blog post that I won't get into. I do like the name though, and I think it does suit the board better than a plain name like the Mode 75. Unlike some of Mode's previous boards, I think that the Sonnet has a more refined and elegant design, which you can definitely see with the side profile of the Sonnet. Similar to the Mode 65, the Sonnet will have an accent piece that helps the board stand out from other boards, but I prefer the Sonnet's implementation over the one for the Mode 65. The Mode 65 had a piece that attached to the back of the top piece, which gave it an interesting look, but I personally didn't like it all that much. For this group buy, Mode has created another configurator site for the Sonnet, so you can design your own board and copy a code to paste when the sale goes live. There are a ton of different color options and material choices that you can choose for your board, and although the price starts at $299, which is a pretty decent price, it can also get very expensive when you start choosing different finishes and materials, such as copper or brass. At around $299 to $350, it's a pretty good deal for a decent board, but once you start getting up there in price at the $400 range to the $500 plus range, you really gotta consider whether this board is worth it and if it's your endgame board. Mode will probably do some sponsored content for this board like their other keyboards, so if you plan on going ham, it might be worth it to wait a bit to hear and see whether this is actually the board for you. If you do end up picking up one of these keyboards, I would highly recommend that you choose a different color for the top and bottom case, so that the side profile is accentuated. Black on black will always look decent as it's a clean look, but I think it does make it hard to see the curve and does make it a lot more boring. I probably won't end up picking up a Sonnet just because I have a ton of boards already, but if I was into the hobby or was looking for a mid-range board, I would definitely look into it. The Hope 75 is a new keyboard from Velocifier. I've talked about them previously in a video where I built my Sun 20 Pro macro pad that I bought from them, where I described my experience and how it wasn't all that positive, along with most people who had bought their macro pad as well. There were various quality issues regarding the color of the cases, PCBs, knob, etc., which made me not really want to join in on their future group buys. I put a warning when they ran their group buys for the Sun 68 and the Bubble 75 because I thought it was important information that people should know about, but I did also mention that I hoped that Velocifier fixed these issues so that people who did join on the group buy wouldn't face the same problems that I had faced. Well, it looks like Velocifier was able to rally and fix their issues, since I haven't really heard much complaints at all from people who received their Sun 68. That being said, I also didn't look that deeply, so if you were someone who joined the group buy and received an inferior product, do let me and other people know in the comments below. but it does kind of appear that Velocifier has turned a new leaf. Based on looks, the Hope 75 does appear to be heavily inspired by the 7V with the weight and side profile. It's not the first to do so, and I'm sure it won't be the last, as the 7V is a really good looking board. There will be two versions available, an Alu weight edition retailing for $359, and a PVD brass weight version that will cost $449. The aluminum version is a pretty nice price at $359, since it's not too expensive for the keyboard hobby, but I would definitely consider the PVD brass weight version as it looks super nice in the prototype photos. The price difference compared to the standard version is definitely pretty substantial, but I'm a sucker for PVD finishes. The PVD brass weight version is also quite similar in terms of price to the 7V, which retailed for $450. It's actually kind of impressive to me that they were able to keep the price so similar to the 7V, since prices of raw materials have increased since the original sale. There will be content created for this keyboard, so if you're interested in buying the board, I would definitely wait a bit to see. For me, I still have some doubts toward Velocifier due to my poor experience, though it is also true that I haven't heard many complaints about their boards this time, which could be a sign of improvement. There's also the fact that there will be a 7V R2 sometime later this year based on what the designer has said, so if you want to buy this board simply due to the fact that you missed out on the 7V, you might want to wait for that instead. There's still a lot of details to be hammered out, and it's not entirely clear how much it'll cost, so if you want a board sooner or aren't comfortable with the unknown, you might want to consider picking up the Hope 75.